Alice in Chains' Dirt. It's raining outside, so I figured I'd open with this song. Even though y'all would probably prefer me to open it like I usually do with the opening track, which would have worked fine too. I'm a little early on that one too. So this album is because of the fact of which that Fog Rainer coming out later this Friday, though I'm not sure I'll be reviewing it on Friday. I will more likely be this following Monday with that one, but I will have another review to hopefully hold you all over. That's of an artist that most of you don't know of unless you kept up with me since my Facebook days of posting vids on Facebook days. Because I had mentioned his previous album, that guy's previous album on that one, and that album is Nero. That artist is Ian Fisher. I have that album early before he has it released sometime in September. As most people who've probably been to any of his shows within the past couple weeks would have gotten lucky enough to see. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We are, of course, talking about the Alice in Chains classic, Dirt. Is it their best? Yeah, I'd say. Some might even argue their debut, a Facelift. So, I would say Facelift is slightly better because of a couple of certain tracks like Iron Gland kind of ruining this, kind of being a bit of a stain. But it's fine for what it is. It's just there. And of course they make it a hidden track unless you look at your CD's track listing. They won't say it because they are, as of the tracks on that album, that's the least proud that they are of it. I really thought this was gonna slow down after work. But, no. But yeah, Them Bones that starts off this track, that's where the band goes from more of a doomier sounding, more of the Armored Saint meets Danzig 1 sort of mixture of sound that kind of comes off very doom metal-ish. And this is the record where they kind of start to show off a little more punk and hardcore influences which Them Bones right off the bat does that, especially given that it's literally a 2.5 minute track. Granted, most punk and hardcore songs, or at least most punk songs back during the 80s and 70s, really were trying to make songs that were under the 2 minute mark. And yeah, and it is blistering fast. It's in your face. Then you have Damn That River, which kind of comes off similar to what you kind of got out of We Die Young, and it kind of has that sort of vibe, and it's kind of something involving a certain dispute between certain members of the band, and it's just kind of, this song in and of itself was just a rebuttal, I think Contrell's rebuttal to one of the members of the band. Where When I Die, I'm not entirely sure what that is. Some songs I can't entirely tell you what's about. Some are very obvious if you know these certain classics. Some songs you don't, that I didn't know going into this album at first, when I first had listened to it anyway, would have been Sick Man and Junkhead, and of course that Iron Gland thing I didn't see coming that much. But every other track has been something I've heard via their Essential Alice in Chains records. Alice in Chains Greatest Hits compilation. But honestly, my first album was actually, when it came to be first legit album I ever had from them, was Black and Sweet Blue. Eventually I would collect their later albums, and of course when Velvet Dinosaurs here came out, I decided to get it. I didn't mind some of the tracks I did here, but I wasn't too impressed with the record, especially when you're coming off of this record, this album, which wasn't a bad comeback for the band. And William Duvall does prove himself a little bit. Last of My Kind's not as a good song, and his delivery is pretty good, though it's not as well as I remembered it. Or at least maybe it's because of being that my stereo isn't working in the front here, and hearing it in the back comes off a little on the mono side. Or something, but I don't know, which might be something with the mix. Who knows? But I really did enjoy this. I've always enjoyed this, and as far as Alice in Chains is concerned, there's not exactly an album I didn't, or an effort they did wasn't able to fully immerse in, aside from prior to 3. So, because every other album they've done since, I haven't been able to get into them whole album in its entirety, or be able to immerse myself properly in the whole album experience, or at least not past Jar of Flies. Yeah, not so much past Jar of Flies. I mean, they do fine, they just don't hit or click with you immediately. And it's only it's as an album as a whole, yet alone even as just in general, not even just immediate. And which sucks, and I'm not sure I'm going to get that out of Fog Rainer, but I'd like to know for sure that I at least got a better album than what I got out of Devil Protestors here. And we'll find out when I get a chance to finally review that. That's coming up soon. Which, if you've seen this review, you'll know I'm prepping for that album. And so, as far as Dirt's concerned, the title track's not too bad itself. I mean, it has its moments. That Smack's fine. Hate to Feel's not bad. Angry Chair's good. To me, the bigger highlights is obvious. I mean, aside from earlier on in the records, 1, 2, 3 Punch of Them Bones, Damn That River, and Rain When I Die, it's obviously the 5th track of this album. 5th track of this record, which is a classic in of itself, and is one song I can definitely share a moment with a friend of mine. But he adores it far more than me, given he's a military man. And I've done a collaboration with him, Kevin Box, shout out. Salute, whatever I gotta do there. And other than this, it's usually Hate to Feel, Angry Chair, which I'm guessing is sort of, it seems like it's kind of like possibly about an electric chair, but the things that are being said it's kind of like this demented moment of just this fleeting moment of all these memories that are flooding this person who's basically being executed in an electric chair, probably going through all the things happening throughout his life in his head, I guess, and just him coming to terms with his execution, I think, or just, at least that's what I'm getting out of it. Hate to Feel is kind of something a little on the darker side. Side of just wish I couldn't see it all, wish I couldn't feel it all, just all that kind of. Down in a Hole, I'm trying to think, it was something with with how they were more when it came to writing the songs with this album or something, or just that certain feeling. And the song itself is great and is great in itself, and it's mostly Staley's delivery, which I'll try to do. It's not gonna be great. Down in a hole where that's enough. We'll just stop there. On a roll, but I knew I was starting to dip there vocally near the. I want to sing the rest of it so bad though. Wood, of course, is classic. The track that ends this out even though Down the Hole would have been a fine ending to this album, the track that winds up ending this album is sort of more of like a bonus track, and that's Wood. And mostly I say that because it was off the single soundtrack, and it's considered to be one of their better songs, and it is. It was so good that they decided to put it on the album to help promote it, which was a smart move on the band's part, and smart on everyone else's part who didn't care for that movie. But the movie was fine. It was mostly just sort of a rom-com on the love life of people and relationships within Seattle, even though some of the songs they played were not all necessarily grunge acts. or Seattle-based, or straight up alternative rock-based bands, especially given they used a song from The Cult, but whatever. With that movie, we had a couple interesting actors. I mean, your Matthew Dillon, Kira Sedgwick, that most people nowadays would have remembered from The Closer, if they ever remember that show. There's good. When I Die is great. Junkhead, of the two songs that I didn't, Junkhead and Sick Man, they're fine for what they are. Sick Man is kind of definitely a little more on the rougher edge, which isn't bad, but just saying, of the two songs that I definitely went in blind to, Junkhead's the better track. And I wish it was kind of on the best of set and I got familiar with that one, but whatever. Instead of maybe Godsmack or something like that. But all in all, the track that really is the one that most people will come out of, not so much just Wood, or it's not just Them Bones is great. Damn That River's fine. Rain When I Die is solid. Junkhead is pretty good deep cut. Dirt, Godsmack, Hate to Feel are fine. Angry Chair's fine, but Down in a Hole is one of the better. Down a Hole definitely is one of the bigger highlights. Wood is of course a highlight, but even though it's not necessarily originally part of the album, but of the songs originally on this album that most people will remember and is still consistently played to this day on any rock or alternative station, maybe even metal, I'm not sure. Or at least ones that are willing to go more closer to classic or even acknowledge alternative metal or grunge to some extent, or at least acknowledge this band as sort of a sludge metal act by the point of this album. I don't know why I do that. But overall, it's Rooster. And just the whole story behind it being about Jerry Cantrell's father, who was a Vietnam War veteran, and what he was doing in that time. So it's very much, and the music video, which definitely caters into that, what the song is actually about, and its subject matter in what happened with him and his time in the Vietnam War, and just it's kind of deals with that dark side, but also somehow kind of becomes this sort of pump-up anthem, I guess, in a way, to those two. It's a sort of honorary thing for him having to go through all that shit, even though he was part of something that was not exactly a good thing, given that Vietnam War, we weren't really looked upon very well. And some people kind of got spat. Some people, like they say it, like it's said in the song, obviously, they spit on me in my own land. Clearly, this whole thing, and it sucks there's probably the one veterans that won't acknowledge themselves being a war veteran, I guess, because it wasn't a good time, and it wasn't even a good time to come home into the States. But they were doing some harsh-ass shit. War isn't pretty, but this made us look bad. And I think we've been looking bad ever since then, and oh well. It's just, it sucks to hear, and the Cantrell's delivery is, "They found a way to kill me, yeah. Eyes burn with stain and sweat. Seems every path leads me to nowhere." That's enough. Alright, so overall, the obvious thing with this album, you all know it. It's fucking rocks. pretty well may as well be up there as Master Class, and a classic in of itself, if not a near masterpiece. Wouldn't say it's considered their best, but then again, it kind of is. And y'all kind of already knew that. I didn't even have to do this video to talk about it. I kind of just needed to do something just cause, and I do enjoy this album, and it's definitely, it's kind of up there, but I wouldn't say it's my top 10 of my favorites that I can honestly say just yet. But one of these days I might do something like that for you guys, but I don't know when. But of course, Alice in Chains in general, or even the album Dirt, what did you guys think? What did you kind of think of my review? Rock that like button if you like this video at all, rock that like button, thrust if you must. Like and follow me on Facebook, on my Facebook page, link in the description below. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And if you're in Missouri or anywhere with closely local in my area, hopefully watch out for flash floods and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, take care, y'all. Fog Rainer coming up, and a couple other reviews, such as something from Ian Fisher, which I think I already mentioned earlier in this video, I'm not sure. And probably might do some shout-outs in that one. Was not sure. There might be some other Bandcamp artists I might actually try to do a full review of, because it's more of a full-length record. It's kind of the reason for that. But anyway, take care, y'all. I'll suck it in.